Yes guys, what is going on? Welcome back to another Sorare video. If you're new to the channel and you haven't yet subscribed, please consider doing so. And if you do enjoy the video, please always do give it a like. Now, today's video is going to be the first of a few videos that I'm going to record in which I go through my strategies for this new era of Sorare, right? We have contenders, champions, and challenges to deal with alongside the under 23s, the cap modes, all-stars, Premier League comp. There's so much going on, but this video is going to be dedicated to what I'm going to be doing for the contender strategies in super rare and rare. They're the scarcities I play on Sorare. Obviously, when we all found out that this new Sorare was a thing about 2 months ago now, yeah, I've ended up with this little contingency of super rares, which are 17 super rares. As far as my contenders go, quite a few in seasons, to be fair. I've had a few weeks now to kind of come to the conclusion of I do want to play contender super rare, mainly because I have a decent goalkeeper here in Leszczuk. I've owned him for like 2 years now. I've had him for so long. He wasn't a starter when I initially bought him. He is now. And so, even though, they play in Russia and there's a big winter break and whatever, I wanted to play or do want to play this, this competition because, everything's new and shiny right now. And yeah, for the remainder of this European season, I'm definitely going to get stuck into contenders super rare. Yeah, with the players I have, my team isn't going to be incredible. I did go out and buy a Balbuena super rare to go with my Leszczuk as a bit of, a Dynamo defensive stack. And so, yeah, I have a decent base there. Dynamo are like top 3 in the Russian league. But yeah, we've got Leszczuk and Balbuena as the, the sort of spine. And then, like I mentioned, I do have quite a few in-season cards. And it's a bit of a nightmare, really, because this upcoming weekend, which is the first, contenders, it's the first game week of the new Sorare, and I can't play my star man, Gabriel Stravetsa. I'm pretty sure he is suspended this weekend. He got himself a red card the game before, well, in his last game, actually, against Cremonese. Missed the game against Pisa, and I'm pretty sure he's going to be suspended for the next couple as well. He was going to be my in-season forward, right? I won him as a tier 3 a few months ago, and he was going to be, or should be my forward. So, the team would look something like this if we go into a lineup builder on Sorare data. Let's go into contender in-season. It'd be Leszczuk and Balbuena as the 2 old, or out-of-season cards. Stravetsa would be the in-season forward. Luke McCowan as the in-season midfielder who plays for Dundee in the Scottish Premiership. And then our extra player would be Owen Beck, who also plays for Dundee. He's a really good player. He's on loan from Liverpool. But unfortunately, he is injured for the next couple of weeks. So my plans of playing in-season contender for the rest of this season looks to have come to a bit of a halt. We've got Dario Spitic, who, again, probably doesn't really start for Dynamo. Serrano as well, another player that I managed to win, plays for Real Zaragoza in the Spanish 2nd division. He is injured as well. So, in-season doesn't look like it's going to happen for me, at least for the next couple of weeks. Because, like I said, I just don't have the depth to do that. Obviously, I could go out and buy someone, but right now, it doesn't look possible. If we go into Contender Classic then, obviously, we can play anyone in here. It doesn't have to be, there's no requirements as far as, in season, old season. We would go Balbuena, Leszczuk again. We would still probably use McCowan. Definitely this weekend. They have a decent fixture away to St. Johnstone. Up front is where it gets a bit tricky, obviously. If Stravetsa doesn't play, Ikeda comes in, he's actually been really decent at the start of this J-League season. I've been really impressed with his scores. 20 AA. He's a midfielder card, but he does have a few forward cards. I've owned that card for ages. And then I'd probably go someone like, Santiago Ramos Mingo, or maybe Conor Barron. Arakai's been really good as well in this J-League season, but they have a tough game away to Frontale. And so my options are, relatively limited, if we're being honest. If we go over to Sorare, I can show you that I have been placed in Division 2 as far as my Super Rare teams go. So if I was to play Contender Classic Super Rare this weekend, let's say we captained Luke McCowan, that team would technically go into this division here. So it would be Contender Division 2 Classic. If we go in and look at the prize pool, obviously, no cash in Division 2, so there is cash, of course, in Division 1. But I don't really think my team's worthy, if I'm being honest, of being in Division 1, for a longer period of time. Of course, if I play Classic, I am eligible to potentially get some of these reward boxes, which are pretty fun. But rewards pay, in Division 2, up until 15th. They're Tier 5s. You got 4 Tier 4s in there. You've got a couple of Tier 3s, and then Podium on first actually gets a tier 1, which is pretty fun actually, and 3 reward boxes, but they are all standard boxes, yeah. So the chances of you pulling a card are obviously quite slim, but I still think it'll make for fun rewards days. And so, this weekend, my contemplation is, do I play Contenders Classic, Division 2, because that's where I've been placed, and I only have out-of-season cards to really play because of the Stravetta situation. But I'm in a situation where I don't really think I'm going to compete in Division 1 at any point with this type of gallery as Contenders go, to be honest, and that's fine. I think over time, I think I will add to the Contender side of my gallery, maybe bring in a few more Dynamo Moscow players to kind of pair with the Leschuk and Balbuena that I have, and maybe, for as far as fixtures go, I think that could make the most sense because of the big winter break and stuff. I'd have a load of, maybe not a load, but I'd definitely have quite a few players then, when Russia is out of season during December to February or even March, I think it is. The rest of my Contender Super Rares wouldn't really be doing much. Of course, I can play them down and play them in rare, so it's not the end of the world. It's not as if I won't have a chance to play them anywhere. But right now, as it stands, I only have one, Super Rare goalie, and he's a good goalie. I don't really want to get rid of him, because, he does play for a good team. He's just fallen into, a starting position there, and he's relatively young. So it looks like Classic Contenders is going to be where I'm going to be playing my cards for the next few weeks as far as Super Rares go. But when we look into Rares, I do have a little bit more depth here and a bit more of a plan. Well, at least I hope. So I've got 4.5 starting goalkeepers. We've got Kelly Roos, Will Dennis, Labrovic, and Nishikawa. And so, for the remainder of this European season, I have 2 in-season goalkeepers in Dennis and Labrovic. We've got Oscar Gluch in there. We've got 2 Zenit boys in Wendell and Wilmar Barrios. They're kind of my midfield anchors. Idrissi's one of the best forwards right now in the game, especially in Contenders playing in Mexico. We've got Schultz, who's injured right now, which is really annoying. We've mentioned Labrovic. Ramon Sosa, who's under 23. And probably will be using under 23 more so than Contenders for the remainder of this season. We've got Tony Fruk, new season, which is nice. Daniela Verdi's a really decent forward. Juan Caceres, who's been okay, but not great. Bucio's in there, another under 23. Caicedo, another under 23. Obviously, I have the Uara stack, so, I have Hoy Brighton, Schultz. I basically have the, most of that collection from last season. I think I have a 5% collection bonus on that, and I think collections in general, will play a big part in, most people's strategies. To find an edge in some of these competitions will require, decently high XP cards. We found out yesterday as well that captain bonuses will be 50% in Contender, Champs, Challenger, and in the Premier League and stuff. All the classic comps though, so like under 23, All-Star, and cap modes, they'll have a 20% bonus, not 50, which I think is a bit weird, but regardless, making sure that you get your captain right is going to be the name of the game, I think, for as long as Sorare, keeps captains at 50%, because, that bonus is absolutely huge. You're going to need your captain to score you 50, 60, 70, 80, before captain bonus is added on to really give yourself any sort of chance, I think. Contenders rare for me is, throughout the summer anyway, it's going to be playing my J-League boys, the Uara stack. And then in Europe, for the remainder of this season, it's going to be using the Riker stack, which this weekend they have a great fixture, I think, away to Rudess. Let's go Contender in season. I'm probably going to go with the Riker stack for this upcoming weekend. We'll go Tony Fruk in there. Of course, you can play one old season card, so I'd probably go with Idrissi. They play at home, which is really, really nice. And I think I would complete the defensive stack with Matej Mitrovic. And so, I would go with something like that for this weekend. I think in Contender in season. I think, if you have in-season cards, in Europe for sure, there's definitely a lifespan on those cards, right? We've got 10 games left, realistically, for most leagues. In my situation with Riker, I do have the in-season-ness of them. Why shouldn't I play them in Contender in season? I think we're going to see probably, not way less, but we're definitely going to see less players playing the in-season Contender than we would the Classic. I think that's an obvious statement, but I think that's the beauty of having in-season cards right now is, sort of rinse their utility, especially in Europe, until, the sort of wheels fall off, right? And see what cash you can kind of bring in until the season ends. And so that's going to be the plan for this upcoming weekend. I'll definitely be playing a Contender in-season team. And then my Classic team, I'd probably roll out the Uara stack. I think they have a good fixture this weekend, actually. So I'm going to probably do that. Schultz is injured, which is really annoying, to be honest. But it would probably be something like Hoy Brighton, Nishikawa as the Uara defensive stack, maybe Wendell in midfield, And then up front, probably Daniela Verde, actually. They have a really nice home fixture. And there's our extra player. It's probably Arbila. Arbila's a bit of a beast, even though he's ancient. I am in Division 1 for in-season and Classic. So both of those teams probably will find themselves in Division 1. And then my second teams will be in Division 2 if I choose to play them. But, the depth gets a little bit dodgy after that, if I'm being honest, because, I can obviously play a team, but, it depends what I do, right? Kelly Roos does have a really good fixture, actually, this weekend at home to Ross County, but I am still going to be prioritizing Cap 240s as well in some capacity, and so, with his L15 being that low, it does kind of make sense to probably use him there. Of course, I could use Super Res in here as well, and so this would probably be the Contenders strategy, for the next however long until the European season finishes, with half the J-League boys as the defensive stack in Classic season, and then the Riker stack in the in-season with the defensive stack of Dynamo with, a load of the Scottish League boys, a few J-League boys in there with Akida for Super Rare. So I have a bit of a mixed bag going on at Contender. Like, it's not, the competition that I've loved the most, but it just makes sense, I think, with, the Riker collection I have that are in season, to try and recoup as much cash as I can possibly get from that Contender in-season rare competition until the end of the season. Great matchup this weekend, like we've mentioned. And then, of course, the Uara boys probably will be, the core of my defensive stack when it comes to Contender Classic. And then with the Super Rares, it's going to be, see what happens, when Stravetsa is back from suspension. Could potentially allow me to play Contender Super Rare in season rather than Classic. I haven't really decided yet. Like, if I had the choice, what I would really do. Of course, in the in-season, there's going to be less players playing. That's definitely, going to be a thing. There's no way there's going to be more users playing in-season than there is Classic, in my opinion. So, yeah, it's an interesting one. Of course, people are saying the prizes are actually better in Classic, which I kind of get in a way. But, the whole point of the in-season is you're basically paying to be away from the rest of the crowd that play Classic. And so, of course, it's only cash only in the in-season modes. And I think, winning mixture of both is great. You can't really do that anymore. Of course, the podium in Classic comps do get cash, as you can see here. So this is Classic Contender Rare. You get, $650 for first, 3 reward boxes, and a star rare. So, if you are high up in these competitions, I'm not saying it's going to be easy to do, because it's definitely not going to be. There is, massive rewards, even in the Classic comps. Whereas, in the in-season comps, it's just cash. And I'm not looking down upon that in any way. I definitely think there's room for both. And so it'll be interesting to see, how it all pans out. But that is the strategy for this upcoming weekend, and probably for the remainder of this European season. I'll probably add bits to these as it happens. But I'm pretty happy with having, one really strong Contender in season rare, one really strong Classic rare team, and then, a semi-strong Super Rare team, which, we'll see how that all goes. Like, if I'm really not anywhere near it in Division 2, then I might have to look to, to sell those, Super Rares on, which is not easy to do, but that would probably be the goal, and just take it from there. So I'm interested to see what you think, lads. Let me know what you're doing for Contenders. Are you running 3 limited Classics, 3 limited in-seasons? I think if you have the depth, you definitely should be doing that. But for me, Rare and Super, I'm not really able to do that to the degree that I'd like to. I could play multiple Contender Rare lineups, behind these 2 priority lineups here. And I probably will, I'll definitely put other teams out, but as far as what's going to make the impact, I think is going to be my priority lineups, and it's basically what's on the screen there. So let me know what you think, lads. Interested to hear your thoughts as always. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I shall see you guys in the next one.